Welcome. If you're a new manager, you're probably realizing that your biggest challenge isn't just about being good at your old job anymore. It's a whole new ballgame. Now, it's about learning how to get results through other people. This session is designed to give you that foundation. We're going to break down the core functions that really separate a struggling boss from a truly successful leader. So let's start with a big question. What is it that transforms a room full of smart, talented people into a team that actually performs at a high level? It's a critical question, right? Because you can have all the individual skill in the world, but without one key ingredient, it just doesn't click. And that ingredient is effective management. It's the framework that channels all that individual talent into collective achievement. So how do we build that framework? Well, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the absolute core purpose of a manager. Then we'll dive into the 4 essential tools in your toolkit: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. And finally, we'll pull it all together and see how these functions connect in a powerful continuous cycle that really drives results. Let's get a really clear definition on the table. A manager is someone who achieves goals through other people. This is the fundamental mindset shift you have to make. Your success is no longer measured by your own output. It's measured by your team's success. Your main job is to enable, empower, and guide others using these 4 key functions. Okay, let's dive into our first function, planning. And for this one, I want you to think of your first new role as that of an architect. Why? Because incredible results don't just happen by accident. They are designed, and you would never start building without a blueprint. At its heart, planning is really this simple. You define point A, which is where you are now, and you define point B, your ultimate goal. But the real work, the manager's work, is defining those crucial milestones in between. Without that clear path, your team isn't really moving forward, they're just wandering. So what does this architectural work actually look like? Well, it's about defining very clear objectives. It's about forecasting what you'll need, budget, people, tools. It's developing the strategies to get there, and of course, setting clear, realistic deadlines. A little pro tip here. Vague goals will always lead to vague results. Your job is to make every single objective specific, measurable, and time-bound. So what happens when planning fails? You fall into this classic management trap. A ton of activity, but no real achievement. The team feels busy, they're working hard, but they're working on the wrong things. They might focus on easy, small clients because it feels productive, but in the process, a massive, critical proposal gets missed. That's a failure of planning. All right, once that blueprint is set, your role shifts. You move from being the architect to being the conductor. The plan exists, it's on paper, but now your job is to organize this orchestra of talent and resources to actually bring that music to life. Think about it. A conductor doesn't play every instrument. Instead, they assign different parts of the score to different sections of the orchestra. That's exactly what you're doing. You're structuring the work and delegating tasks so that every team member knows exactly what their part is, and, just as importantly, how it contributes to the whole performance. This means designing roles with crystal clear responsibilities and assigning the right tasks to the right people. But here's a key insight I want you to remember. When you delegate a task, you must also delegate the authority to get it done. Giving someone responsibility without the power to act is just a recipe for frustration and ultimately failure. And the consequence of poor organization? Honestly, it's chaos. You get duplicated effort, 2 developers accidentally building the exact same feature, and at the same time, you have critical gaps where nobody owns essential tasks, like, say, testing. This kind of waste doesn't just slow things down. It can completely jeopardize an entire project. Okay, so you have a solid plan and an organized team. Your next function now emerges, and it's a critical one. You have to be the coach. This is all about the human element that truly brings that plan to life. This is the absolute essence of leadership, getting everyone pointing in the same direction, with the same energy. It's about inspiring a shared sense of purpose that transforms a group of individuals into a team that is genuinely aligned and motivated. This is where your people skills are absolutely paramount. You have to communicate the why behind the work, not just the what. You inspire your team and you invest in their growth. And when conflicts come up, and trust me, they will, your role isn't to be a judge, it's to be a facilitator. A great coach doesn't just build a winning team, they build stronger individual players. Poor leadership creates a vacuum, and what rushes in to fill that space is low morale. When a team loses its why, let's say the project's direction suddenly changes without clear communication, Their energy just vanishes. And this is not a soft problem. It leads directly to hard failures like missed deadlines and poor quality work. Strong leadership is the only way to prevent this. Finally, we get to our fourth function, controlling. Now, let's be really clear about this one. The word can sound a bit intense, but this is not about micromanagement. Not at all. I want you to think of yourself as a navigator, keeping the ship on course. So, your plan, that's your intended route. But we all know storms happen, currents shift, the real world is unpredictable. A navigator's job is to constantly check the ship's position against the plan, recognize when it's drifting off course, and then make the right adjustments to get back on track toward the destination. You do this by monitoring performance, evaluating the quality of the work, and taking action when you need to. Now, the real secret to effective controlling is the quality of your feedback. It has to be timely, it has to be specific, and it has to be focused on behavior, not on personality. Remember, the goal is always to correct the course, not to criticize the crew. So there we have it, the architect, the conductor, the coach, and the navigator. But here's the thing, these aren't separate jobs that you do on different days of the week. They are all deeply interconnected parts of one dynamic, ongoing process. And this brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from our session today. These 4 functions are not a checklist you work through once. They are a continuous dynamic cycle. The results from your controlling phase, they become the input for your next planning phase. What you learn about your team's performance informs how you organize and lead next time. It is a constant loop of execution and improvement. Okay, we've covered the 4 core functions. Now, let's put that understanding to the test with a quick knowledge check to see how it's all landing. All right, let's see if we can match the activity to the right function. First up, assigning a critical project to a specific team member. What do you think? That's organizing. You're structuring the work. Okay, next, setting quarterly team goals. That one is classic planning. You're setting the course. And finally, reviewing weekly progress reports. That's controlling. You're monitoring and getting ready to adjust. How did you do? As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Knowing these 4 functions, that's the science of management. But how you apply them with integrity, with empathy, and with vision, that is the art of leadership. The what gives you the framework, but it's your why and your how that will ultimately define your impact.